Well, Kyle Ferroly welcoming you back to blind spot number 3, which is our brain. So far we've covered our environment, can trigger us to think, act, and feel a certain way because we've stored certain things in our mind. And we've looked at our mind's negative thoughts, unrealistic expectations, and irrational beliefs, and seen how they shape. So here's where the rubber really meets the road, in a sense that your brain is the physical organ that runs the whole body. Your mind is just that conscious experience we have, if you will. So what happens is once we alert ourselves that there is a threat. By the way, there is a more primitive survival mechanism that we have that immediately bypasses our conscious awareness if it's something severe or serious. Like if we hear a noise in the woods, it immediately sets us into fight or flight because it's an instinctual thing. We don't consciously say, should we react to that a certain way? But we do also have the ability to consciously engage that fight or flight response, and that happens in our brain. And typically it's from our conscious awareness of how we think, act, and feel. So, we may get ticked off that we can't do something or be part of something or buy something or not have something or have too much debt or whatever it might be. It sends a signal from our brain into our body. And we'll talk about that in the next blind spot, of course, which is our body's nervous system. But when we're talking about our brain, the blind spot is that this is one of the areas of medicine that's not looked at before it's treated. If you think about it, an eye doctor looks at your eyes. A heart doctor takes an EKG of your heart. Even if you break a bone, they take an x-ray. But if it's related to your mind or your brain, it's all in your head. But does that mean mind or brain? It's all in your head? It doesn't matter. They go off your symptoms. They usually hand you a pill or tell you to go talk to somebody. Part of that's okay. But if you don't have a starting point and you don't know what's really wrong, here's the spoiler alert. Symptoms overlap. And when symptoms overlap, you can be in a world of hurt. You can have trouble focusing and be a little irritable and impulsive. Well, is that anxiety or is it ADD? Guess what? There's 7 different patterns of ADD, and the meds only work for a few of them. And there's 6 to 7 different patterns of anxiety and depression. Meds work for some of them. So how do you know what you have until you look? Do you see how big a blind spot this is? Do you see how much I love my job? That I get to look at people's brains with the EEG machine every day and tell you in 19 areas where your brain might be running too fast or too slow, what pattern you might have that we need to be aware of for you moving forward, what medication may be good for you, may not be good for you. A lot of times people come into my office anxious and we're given a stimulant. And if you can read between the lines, that's like putting gas on a fire. Not a good idea, and not the doctor's fault. They don't know. They haven't looked at the brain yet. It's not their fault. It's the fault of traditional medicine's model is not looking at the organ yet. There's a few people in the nation that I know of that are doing EEG and SPECT imaging to look at brainwave activity first before they just start handing out pills or treatments or trainings. So I hope this has been very enlightening for you. And if I may throw out the Albert Einstein quote you've seen all over the website, problems cannot be solved with the mindset that created them. We have to get in front of the problem of what's going on in your brain that might be limiting you from being happier and healthier and more productive. And this isn't something you can just think your way out of. I've seen it so many times where people are in my office that have the world by the you-know-whats, and they're not able to think their way out of the problem. And they have to admit that there's something bigger than their thoughts. And no matter what their health coach or life coach or motivational speaker told them, it's beyond their thinking, and it's in their brain. Some people can think their way right out of it. In fact, in 11 years of helping people across the country, so that means we've seen different personalities, people in different time zones, people with different learning styles and lifestyles, different cultures, different job statuses, students, adults, elderly, young kids. Only 2 people were healthy. 2 people had okay brain activity. 2 people had good physiology, which you'll learn about in the next video. Only 2 people had their mind set where when you asked them to get stressed out, they could recover from that stressor really quick. And most people are not able to quickly recover from stress and anxiety. Their nervous system holds on to it. It's a residual thing that takes a while. Imagine if someone cuts you off. Are you over it in 1 minute? Or does it kind of grind on you until you get to work? Or does it grind on you until you get home and you want to still track them down? So these are things that we need to be looking at, but they're all in the blind spot of our brain. So we take things in through our environment. To recap, our mind has a memory bank. Is this good or bad? It triggers the brain. And now in the next video, we're going to learn about what our physiology or our nervous system is doing and then feeding a signal back to the brain. I'm Kyle Ferroly, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.